Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, I am Jonathan, your host here at QuickBird Gaming. Thank you for tuning in for another video. I really do appreciate it. So, today's video is the next edition of QuickBird News, where I cover all the gaming news from the previous week. 7 days of gaming news in less than 7 minutes. We're covering Sunday 10 November to Saturday 16 November in this episode, and since I'm on the clock, let's get into it. First up, a couple of major games are celebrating significant anniversaries this week. We'll start with Half-Life 2, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary and has had a bunch of things come out, including this 2-hour documentary, which is, if you're a Half-Life fan, is really cool to watch. I think a lot of people forget that in the days before Steam became a juggernaut, that it is on the gaming scene today, that Valve struggled in times with, and they were teetering on the edge of falling apart in a few places. But Half-Life 2 is 20 years old now, and they've gone through, they've added developer commentary, they've tweaked some of their maps, and basically filled in some bugs and gaps. And the best news is that if you scroll down here on this IGN article, right here where I have highlighted, if you're interested in Half-Life 2 and want to check it out, the 20th anniversary update, you're in luck. It's free to own on Steam until November 18th, and that includes all of the DLCs. If you've never played Half-Life 2 or even Half-Life 1, I really recommend you check them out. Those games had a lot of impact on kind of the thinking man's shooter genre going forward. Very significant. And apparently a lot of people agree, since on this PC Gamer article, they show that more people are playing Half-Life 2 on any point since Steam started keeping track. Steam didn't really start keeping track of the number of concurrent players on a given game until I think about 2008. And then Half-Life 2 came out in 2004, so they weren't keeping track. But apparently, their offerings and have regenerated a lot of interest in the game, since it's hitting 52,000 players concurrently as of earlier today. So that's really cool. I'm glad people are going back and checking out this game that hadn't done it before. Next up, we also had the 30th anniversary of Warcraft announced this week. Not World of Warcraft per se, but the original real-time strategy. It turned 30 this week, and Warcraft had their 30th anniversary announcement, and all the things they have going on in this IP, there's a lot if you're a Warcraft fan. Specifically, in World of Warcraft, they talk about how the next patch for the current expansion is going to add a whole bunch of content, including taking players into a new area they've never been before. The next major patch is going to add player housing to the game, finally after 20 years. They are continuing to do World of Warcraft Classic, and it looks like they're dropping a new vanilla server, so another fresh start for people who enjoy the classic feeling. Warcraft 1 and 2 are being remastered. From what I understand, not remakes. They're just touching them up a little bit with quality of life and the graphics. And Hearthstone, their card game, is getting a crossover with StarCraft. So if you're a Blizzard fan, a lot of goodness and a lot of good stuff happening right now. Speaking of Blizzard, this article posted on Friday, 15 November on IGN says that a Blizzard job ad confirms an upcoming open world shooter, and the article thinks that all the signs are pointing it to being a StarCraft-themed shooter. Now, I know Blizzard has tried to get a shooter off the ground a couple of times, like with StarCraft Ghost some years ago. Then it hasn't worked out for them. I'm not sure why. You would think this would be a no-brainer with StarCraft being as beloved of an IP as it is, but it's just for some reason has not worked out for them. Maybe they're trying again. Third time's a charm, or 3 strikes and you're out. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But like I alluded to in the last segment, if you are a Blizzard fan, this is maybe something else to look forward to, that they've still got stuff in the works. So keep your eyes open. Next up is this article from Eurogamer from Wednesday, 13 November, and the headline reads, Good Old Games announces the preservation program aims to maintain game compatibility with modern and future systems. Essentially, the upshot of this article, and versions of it have appeared on several game news sites, is that GOG is trying to keep older games that may have come out during the Windows XP or even Windows 7 era running on modern operating systems. There's a lot of compatibility problems with trying to run some of these older games in Windows 10 or 11. And there's a post on X, not a tweet anymore, about this, where they talk about the preservation program and how they've got 100 games in it. It includes the original Resident Evil trilogy, Diablo, and they're going to try and keep these games running. This is interesting to me because I have seen on GOG a bunch of these older games that even the Steam versions frequently don't run very well, and even on GOG they have problems running. So I'm going to kind of watch and see how this goes. If you go to, say, for example, the forum on GOG for Dragon Age Origins, you can see a tons of compatibility issues that people are having trying to run that older game. So that'll kind of be my measuring stick, one of these games like that, how far this goes forward. I wish them the best because I think preserving old games is important. We'll see how they do. Speaking of preserving games, we have this article from GameSpot published on Thursday, November 14th, that reads Unreal and Unreal Tournament are free on Internet Archive with Epic's blessing. Now, Unreal was one of the first crop of big multiplayer shooter games that helped spawn that genre in the late 1990s. Epic ultimately kind of stopped supporting it. They started leaning into Fortnite in the last 10 years, and they finally delisted the game and took the servers offline in 2023. Internet Archive has restored these games and made them available to play, and Epic is going to let them. And where I've highlighted at the bottom of this article, Epic confirmed it isn't getting in the way of letting people play the two classic Unreal titles available on archive.org, and said people, quote, are free to independently link to and play these versions. So in other words, Epic no longer cares about these games, but they're going to let people go out there who enjoy them continue to play them, which is how it should be. So thumbs up to Epic. And finally, real quick, we'll touch on this article published on IGN on Tuesday, November 12th. Ubisoft sued after shutting down the crew. The big picture is that Ubisoft took this game offline. The people who thought they had paid for it to play in perpetuity are suing them now, and it remains to be seen what happens. The short version is Ubisoft just can't stop taking L's right now. Everything that's going wrong for this company can. I think this will ultimately be kind of an important lawsuit because it'll set the tone for this idea that gamers are only buying licenses and not the games. I know some laws have changed. Steam has changed their policies that says that you are buying a license and not the game. I think this will be interesting going forward as to how this works out. Bad news for Ubisoft, though. And there you have it. 7 days of gaming news in not quite 7 minutes this time. Sorry, I ran a few seconds over, but I wanted to get everything in and cover everything that was important. So thanks for hanging with me to the very end. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please like, share, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Pass it on to your friends. In the meantime, I will see you next week with more gaming news. You all go out and live your best lives, and y'all stay gaming.